Hello everyone, welcome back to Simright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial right here on this channel. So today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks to plus sizes. Okay, so I just thought of making this plus size video for you. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and for being part of this family. So I will be sharing with you tips and tricks to making plus sizes bustiers, okay? And I'll also be sharing with you some tips and tricks to making some dresses that are thick, like damask, jeans, all this thick fabric. We have a lot of thick fabrics that when you go to the market and use them to make your dresses with the exact size you have, they are so tight, okay? And you'll be wondering why these dresses are tight. It's just because of the texture of fabric that you are using. So in this tutorial, we are going to learn a lot. So the sizes I'm making for these plus sizes is what I have on my list right here. Okay, so I'm making a dress for bust 48, waist 42, under bust 40, as you can see. So we are concentrating on the bust circumference and the bust circumference specifically. Okay, so this is actually a plus size. So now we want to start off this tutorial right from the scratch, and I'm making this dress with a damask fabric. So at the end of this tutorial, I believe you will appreciate this lesson, because many a times, like I'm making this dress for bust 48 now. If I have to use this actual bust circumference divided by 4, at the end of the day, you notice that the dress you've made is so tight, okay, as if you used a smaller size. Okay, you used a smaller size for the dress while it was actually the right size. So what I usually do is to add ease to my bust circumference to my waist circumference. If I'm making a skirt, I'll also add ease to the skirt piece, and that is what I'll use to work if I'm making, especially for fitted dresses, making dresses with damask fabric. Sometimes Ankara fabric can behave that way. Okay, jeans fabric. If you are making a fitted dress, please add ease. That is the secret to making even for, not only, it's not restricted to plus sizes. If you are making for damask fabric, I'm emphasizing damask because damask fabric, I've used it a lot, and I noticed that some damask fabrics are so hard, okay, so thick. At the end of making it with your actual size, is so tight, and you even find it difficult to zip, have the zipper zipped. Okay, so what I do to the bust circumference, for a normal size, I add 2 inches to the bust circumference. That's if I'm making damask fabric, using a damask fabric or Ankara or whatever. For a normal size, I add 2 inches. For a plus size, I add 3 inches. And for super plus size, that is people that are really very fat, I add 4 inches for them. Okay, so this does not affect anything at all. So what we are talking about here is that the bust circumference which I'm working with is 48. But because I'm using damask fabric to work on this, I'm going to do 48 plus 3. So my bust circumference right now becomes 51. That is the ease I'm adding to this bust circumference because I'm using Ankara fabric for it. And believe me, this does not affect anything. It gives your dress a perfect fit. Okay, using a thick damask, jeans, sometimes Ankara, so it makes it free and not so tight. So these 3 inches I'm adding it to the bust circumference. Please take notes. And I'm adding it to the waist circumference too. So the waist circumference here is 42. So I'll be adding 42 plus 3. and I'll be working with 45 for my waist circumference. This is for a fitted gown. I repeat, for clothes that are fitted, please. Okay, so once you are making fitted dresses like this, you add ease to them. So if you are on a normal size and you're working with damask, 2 inches is very okay. But for plus size, I use 3 inches, and for super plus size, I add 4 inches. So that is the only part we are adding extra ease. Please don't do that to your underbust. The underbust remains the same. If you add ease to the underbust, it will not have a good fit. Okay, so it's only the bust circumference, the waist circumference that we are going to add this ease. So in other words, I'm working with 51 now and 45 for waist. So whatever thing I'm drafting right here, I'm using 51 and 45. I believe this explanation is understandable. So right now we want to jump into this tutorial without wasting time. We have lots more of tips and tricks to share with you on this tutorial. So I have my border line. This is my shoulder line, and this is my center front line. So we'll be drafting a princess dart for this class, and this is shoulder and center front. So I choose to start this tutorial from the scratch because this is a plus size tutorial. I don't think we've had any plus size tutorial on this channel, and today we'll be making this beautiful tutorial. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to take all my vertical measurements. So what vertical measurements am I working here for this plus size? The first vertical measurement I'm working for this plus size is the chest line. So when working with your chest line, we have a calculation for chest line. And that calculation says bust circumference divide by 6 plus 1.5. That is going to be the chest line. So the bust circumference we want to work with is 48. Please, not the ease. The ease is going to be added to the bodies, but we'll still maintain 48 for every calculation we are making in this tutorial. So 48 now, I'll divide 48 by 6. I have 48 divided by 6. I have okay, we have 36, we have 42, we have 8 plus 1.5. So I'm working with 9.5 for my chest line. So first I'm going to make my other vertical lines before we come back to this 9.5, because we need to drop our shoulder by 1 inch before we make our 9.5. So the first thing I want to do right here is the bust point. The bust point I'm working with here is 14. I'm going to mark my 14. Of course, I'm even going to add more of my paper because I have front length here as 21. So let me quickly add extra paper and I will be back, because what we have on the pattern paper will not be able to accommodate this dress. I just added my paper, okay, and here I'm extending my my border lines. So like I said, I'm working with bust points. My bust point I'm working with here is 14 inches. So from the shoulder, I'll take my 14 inches and I'll mark. And the under bust circumference I'm working with here is 19. So you can see this is a super plus size. And the front length is 21. Okay, so the under bust is very close to the front length. So this is it. And I make my vertical lines. So if you look here, you can see the bust area. This is bust point line. This is under bust point line. And this is the front length or waist line. Okay, so when you see plus sizes like this, you don't need to be afraid. Just work with what you have. So now we want to start creating the neckline. Remember, for the neckline, we are still going to use our natural neckline is bust divide by 12. So here I'm working with bust 48 divided by 12 will give me 4 inches. So it's not every time you go ahead and making 3 inches. Okay, so if you make 3 inches for a plus size for a mandarin collar or turtleneck, definitely it's going to be tight. Okay, so assuming I'm making a mandarin collar or turtleneck right now, definitely I'll have everything tightly fitted, and the client will complain. You yourself will also be embarrassed at the end of the day. Okay, so to avoid those embarrassments, this is what you are going to do. So everything I have here is 48 divided by 12 by depth and 48 divided by 12 by width. So I'll just come in here and place my pattern ruler. So once pattern ruler is placed, I have my neckline created. That is my natural neckline. So next I want to make is my shoulder. My shoulder I'm working with for this plus size is 16 divided by 2 is 8. I'll come down by 1 inch because the human shoulder is not as straight as that. So I'll just come in this way. Okay, so now we want to drop our shoulder to get our chest line. So if you notice here, you can see that we use the calculation bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, and here we have a whole 9.5. So if I want to measure this 9.5, this is what I'll be having. From the shoulder drop, I will have my 9.5 at this point. Okay, 9.5. So I mark that 9.5 and I'll make my straight line on the 9.5. Okay, so the reason we have this gap, okay, sometimes this gap we have here, if you notice, is about 3.25, and you might be wondering whether it's normal. Yes, it's normal because we have different varying shapes of plus sizes. This is because of the bust. The bust is too much, so it has taken from the chest line, it has taken a whole lot. Of course, they are going to see the curve right now. So the person we are making this dress for is actually very, very busty. Okay, so you can see the shape of the bust on the thumbnail right there. So you can see when you are taking the measurement, once you have gotten to the bust point, we have a whole lot 3 inches curve before you get to the nipple point, and another curve before you get to the underbust. So that is why when you have this difference, don't fret it. Okay, it's actually very, very normal. So the armhole we are working here is 9.5. So sometimes after making these dresses using bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, okay, you notice that the armhole is too wide or too big. Okay, so the maximum I use for plus sizes is 9 inches. Unless the person is a super plus size, then I can go ahead and use 9.5. So I'm bringing up this the chest line by half an inch. Okay, so we're making using 9 inches, so we don't have the armhole so wide at the end of the day. So now I want to start. I will transfer what I have on the shoulder line. I'm transferring it. Shoulder is 8 inches. That is 16 divided by 2 because I want to create my armhole. Okay, and then I want to also talk about the ease we added. Remember, we are working with 51. So now this 51, you are going to divide it by 4 because we've added 3 inches ease to it. So 51 divided by 4 will give us 12.75. So please, you can divide it, but I will be having 12.75 because I've already calculated and I see. So you can still cross check it. So 51 divided by 12 is 12.75. Okay, because 48 divided by 12, assuming we are working with 48 divided by 12, we will have 12 inches. Okay, so if we do 50 divided by 12, we'll have 12.5. So 51 divided by 12 is 12.75. So I mark my 12.75. So I want to also explain some other thing, okay, which might be a problem for these plus sizes. Okay, this I have noticed many a times, and I want to share with you. The shoulder line we had here is 8 inches. Can you see? Okay, so the measurement I got here is 16 for a plus size. Now I divided it by 2, I have 8 inches. Now you notice that the bust circumference is so wide. That is 48, and we have added ease, and this is where we have the whole bust circumference. So the difference you should have from your shoulder line to have a good fit should be maximum of 2.5 or 3 inches. So what does that mean? It means from here I added 3 inches. So I've already extended this line by 1.5. So the shoulder line now is going to increase a little more by 1.5. So if I do that now, this is what I'm going to have for this plus size. This is where the actual line is supposed to be. So I'm sharing this tip and tricks to you because I've had this experience. So, or 1 inch. Okay, we can do 1 inch, or okay, let us use this actual line. Okay, please let us use the actual bust line. The bust is 48. 48 divided by 2 is 12. Okay, so apart from the ease, the difference we should have is 2.5 or at most 3 inches. So if I have to do 3 inches, it means I'm adding 1 more inch. Okay, let us just add 1 more inch. Okay, so instead of having 8, we have 9 inches for this size. So I'll just take it to 9 inches. Okay, so I'll take off this line. So we are working, this is not the actual line. So in case you get a measurement, and because most of the times when they send measurements to you, you notice that most of the measurements they send for plus sizes for their shoulder is not always correct. So the only way you can achieve this is once you have measured the bust divided by 4, like I have 12 inches now, minus the ease. You can see that this is where I had the initial measurement that was sent, which is 16 inches. So from here now, I have a whole 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not possible. So I choose to do this tutorial to teach you or explain a lot of things for you. So from this, the difference you can have from so when measurements are brought to you, from the point of your bust divided by 4, just measure 2.5 inches or at most 3 inches. Okay, so like I have 18, and I've looked at the picture and I see that the shoulder is not that broad, so I'm using 3 inches for it. So I added 1 more inch to the measurement they sent to me. So now I have 9 inches instead of, that is the shoulder now is 18 inches. That is what we are talking about. So we are working on this line right now. I dropped my shoulder by 1 inch and we are working on this line, which I told you is 9 inches. So 9 divided by 2, I'll go in by 0.75, and it works for everybody, but whether a plus size or a small size. So I will connect, and then I'll bring in my armhole curve and I'll place it on that line, making sure it matches here and matching anywhere on this line. So if you notice now, you can see we have a larger space at the mid armhole line, okay, which is the across shoulder. So you can see our across shoulder here is at 9 inches, okay, which could have been at 7.5, and it could have been very uncomfortable for this plus size. So always make sure that the difference you have from your actual bust divided by 4 is 2.5 or 3 inches, whether they give you a wrong shoulder measurement or not. Okay.